Sweet.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Outdoors with MSA. We are on episode 17.
Yep.
It's been fun. It's
17,
been a
man.
good 17 weeks. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Caught me a little off guard today. I'm trying to get. That's our webpage. I'm going to put that down at the bottom. What I'd like to start today off with, if you can, if you know a vet, if you are a vet, if you're active duty, if you're a first responder, come join our Facebook page at Military Sportsmen of America. We post trips in there all the time.
Or the group.
Or the group, yes, the group. We post trips in there all the time. That's how you get on these trips. That's how you connect with other vets. And it won't even be a trip sometimes. It'll just be two vets who are like, hey, you live close to me. Let's go check out this WMA public land. And y'all can get together and do stuff as well. It's really just a great resource if you're new to an area. Join the page and see who else is in that area.
It's a great tool.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
Yeah.
But yeah, go join our Facebook group, our Facebook page, and let's get you out on some of these trips we're posting. What do we have coming up? I know we have a cool trip coming up soon.
We got a Nebraska deer hunt. We got a South Carolina deer hunt I'm drawing on tomorrow. We got a couple deer hunts out of Delaware coming. We're supposed to have one out of Maine. We got hunts out of Michigan, Massachusetts, of course, with the Tennessee chapter. We got trips here. So we got a massive deer camp opening weekend of muzzleloader here in Tennessee. It's November 6th, 7th, and 8th. There's going to be 15 of us hunting public land. One of our sponsors is going to come hunt with us. It's going to be a good time, man.
I can't wait to pick his brain. I can't wait to pick his brain in person and just show him like different maps of. My cat is messing with my screen. You got one?
I don't even know where my cat is, man, but it's in here somewhere.
She's not got me twisted. Oh well,
yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll be all right. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I can't wait to pick his brain and show him maps of our land and see if he can give me any kind of insight on the what's going on there.
Maybe we can have him come up and check out our place. Walk through
I mean, he's already going to be up there. While I'm thinking about it, guys, time is running out. Go get your raffle tickets.
That's
going to help send even more.
Day to buy them.
Yes, tomorrow is the last day. I'm going to put this up here about 10 times today. Go get your tickets.
And if you don't want a rifle, or let's say you can't own a rifle, you can get a gift card and purchase whatever you want with it. So,
yes.
Whether you get a gift card to Bass Pro, to Bellas, it's worth it.
Yep, and it helps get vets out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's paying for the South Carolina deer hunt.
If you really want to know how all this works, you can ask my wife. She will tell you, me and Anthony do not make a damn dime off of any of this. No. We spend more
not a penny
than what she really knows. I hope you're not watching yet.
Yeah. My wife knew I'd be in so much trouble.
Dude, if you don't kill a deer soon, you're going to be homeless. If you don't kill a deer soon, you're going to be homeless.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I'm busy trapping beavers right now, so I could care less about deer.
Yeah, how'd that go? You went out there and tried to trap some beavers? I did
get one.
You got one?
I got one so far. I haven't checked my traps today, but I've been catching the crap out of snapping turtles here lately. It's just warm. It's that warm time of year. No, I've been releasing them back, so it's that warm time of year. You're gonna catch. It's just part of it. You're gonna catch turtles. If I really want to just hammer just at beavers, I probably should have waited until December, where it was a little cooler.
Yeah, but they're a problem. They're just a problem.
Yeah, huge nuisance, man. Great dam builders. They just don't build them in the places that need dams.
Didn't they? So I know you had knocked out a portion of the dam to let the water flow to bring them towards the trap, and that's where you
Yeah,
caught the snapping turtle. Didn't they rebuild the dam over top of the snapping turtle?
directly over. I'm pretty sure that turtle would have lived if it wasn't for the beavers building the dam back over him. He, I mean, the way the trap slapped on him, he would have survived. There was
Right.
no way he could get up for air after they built the dam back over him. So they're cold blooded killers, man.
So
Well, we got big
we had
NFL
some
game
college.
today, dude.
Yeah, who's playing today? I haven't even paid attention.
Super Bowl reigning champs, the Bucks, against America's favorite team, the Cowboys. I don't know why they're America's favorite team because they're not my favorite team.
I I don't understand how they're like. If you would have told me like the New England Patriots or Philadelphia, somewhere up there where the founding fathers and all that were, if you would have told me that was America's team, or Washington, if you would have told me that was America's team, I'd
Yeah,
have been like, okay, all right. But Dallas,
right.
that, I don't know. So I'm gonna upset some Texas people here. I think you're all Colt. Uh, God forbid anybody ever say anything bad about Texas because you guys lose your mind. Um,
Right.
I'm sure Texas is a
Watch what
great
you
place.
say.
Yeah,
Most of our viewers
I
are from Texas.
are they. I love
Yeah,
you, and I get along
Texas.
great with Texas people. But I had an argument one time with somebody about is Texas the most southern, like South state, and I took that
No,
as are they the most redneck, etc. They took it as geologically, and I was like, you're kind of like Midwestish, and they lost their mind, lost it,
yeah.
bro. Like I really thought we were about to end up in a fist fight in my yard because I would not say that Texas is the most southern state.
Well, they're not.
And,
Florida technically is.
well, I'm from South Carolina, right? So I always bring up but
Right.
anyway, South Carolina's not great. I have nothing in their defense.
What about that
Um,
Georgia
so
Clemson game?
yeah, yeah, I watched a little bit of it. It was pretty boring.
Dude, if you like
You
defense,
both
which
have
I
really
do,
good defenses. Dude,
solid
number
defense.
99 for Georgia is a animal.
Davis,
That is probably the huge, like biggest human I've ever seen.
he's a
Hands,
beast.
hands down. He's huge.
We just
Uh,
Georgia just picked up a 4-star recruit out of Nashville. He's 6'8", 390 pounds. He's an animal, man.
um, UNC lost to Virginia Tech. That one was crazy. Uh, I don't think the
I feel
ACC
like
had
they
a
were
ranked team
overrated.
win a game. Yeah, well, they were
Yeah,
overrated. They should have been like maybe 18 or further back,
yeah.
22, but they
I
got
mean, give Clemson
handled.
the respect that they're due, but everybody else dumpster,
I
except for
don't think
Florida
an
State.
ACC ranked team won a game this weekend.
Mm-mm.
The ACC had a horrible debut.
They did. Did you see the Florida State Notre Dame game?
Yep, went into overtime.
That was a good
That
game.
that was a good game.
I don't know
Which once
whether
again
Notre
tells
Dame.
me Notre Dame's overrated as always. I don't know what love like. Do they give the NCAA a bunch of money every year or something? Because they're always rated so high when I
The
feel like they would
Catholics,
be.
bro.
All right, I'm not going to touch that. Um, South Carolina blew out Eastern Illinois after I was worried about it. This was our first shutout since 2008.
Yeah, you'll know how good South Carolina is in 2 weeks
Week
when they
three,
play Georgia.
yeah, yeah. I
Week
don't think
three.
we
That's
win that
that'll
game.
give you it'll give you an idea of what you have and what you don't have. It'll. I think it will tell you whether you're going to win 4 games or whether you're going to win 6. At this point in the season right now, I think South Carolina will beat Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. I think we beat Tennessee. I think we have a close one with Arkansas. Uh, I think
Ooh,
we finally start beating the teams we're
I don't
supposed
know,
to
man.
beat and giving the middle of the pack teams a run and maybe not embarrassing ourselves against the top tier. But let's
I
get back
think
into some out.
Arkansas finishes third or fourth.
Really.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, they return to everybody, man.
so before we start talking about hunting again, I want to remind everybody: if you're a vet, if you know a vet, if you know a first responder, if you're a first responder, go join our Facebook page. Come get out on some of these awesome trips with us. Come meet some cool people. Everybody always says how hard it is to make friends nowadays once you become an adult. This is one of the easiest ways. It's a
Right.
lot of people who are like-minded. Uh, even though not everybody is like-minded, everybody gets respected. We're big on that.
It don't cost anything to join us, you know.
Yeah, there's no
Doesn't cost
membership
anything to
fees
join.
or and like Anthony
Just a
said earlier,
simple
we got a
answer
trip to
3 or 4
Nebraska coming
questions.
up, trip to South Carolina coming up.
Mhm.
Like if you're watching
We
this
got
and
some
you have a
big duck
spouse
hunts coming.
that's a veteran and they're always complaining they don't have anywhere to hunt, get them in this group. We will get him out or her or her, him or
Yeah.
her. We'll get them out.
You know. We got some big duck hunts coming up. So I mean,
See,
there's all kinds of good trips going on.
that's something we haven't talked a whole lot about is duck hunting. I I've gone once. I think I went with Tad. Me and Tad went,
Yeah.
and
Never
he
been.
spoiled me. He took me to an amazing duck blind. They had a heater, a stove. They had a dog. They had deep. Like all I had to do was show up and shoot, and I got
That's
yelled
cool.
at because I don't know the difference between a coot and any other duck flying by at 100 miles per hour. Um, yeah, apparently duck hunters get upset when you shoot the wrong. But I didn't shoot an illegal duck. I just apparently they don't like their dogs getting coots. I don't know.
Never been, man. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, to
I
me
got
it's
some
kind of
wood
like a
ducks
more
up here on
intense
this
duck.
beaver pond.
I'd like to go wood duck
Yeah.
hunting. I hear that's pretty fun.
Well, this beaver pond is
That
full of ducks. You ought to come up. We should bust them.
yeah, we'll give that a try. That and I hear with like wood duck hunting, your day can end pretty early. Like you can be out of there by 8 or 9, either bag out
Yeah,
or
it's a
just not
super
flying.
early. That's what I've
I,
heard, anyways.
I don't know.
Plus, you can help me shoot the beavers if they show up.
Yeah, definitely. It's just I see so many people. A good friend of mine, me and him deer hunted all the time, and then he got introduced to duck hunting, and I don't think he's been deer hunting in a few years now. Like I said,
Really?
Texas was a cold earlier. Duck hunters are a cold. I think everybody's a
I,
cold.
I got one expensive hobby, and that's turkey hunting, man. So I
You
can't
don't even
afford
need
two
much for
expensive
that.
hobbies. You'd be
What do you?
surprised.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have like 20 damn calls, Edward,
Don't
duck
have
hunting
that
will
many
ruin your
calls.
life. Well, why is that, Edward? Can you tell me why duck hunting will ruin your life? Because I don't know. I honestly haven't gotten into it. I'd love to know why duck hunting
It's
ruins your
expensive.
life. I mean, I know it's
You got to shoot
expensive.
a Benelli. You know, you got to
Really?
shoot a
It,
Benelli. You got to have top of the line waiters. All your decoys. You can't just have any decoys. You got to have the best decoys. Uh, you know,
money.
echo calls.
that that's
You got to
everything,
have
man. I mean,
everything.
if you're a mechanic, that's an expensive hobby because you always want to restore those old cars, and every hobby is expensive nowadays.
Right.
So I mean, deer hunting.
Oh,
If you really
absolutely.
do
There's
deer
no
hunting
denying
right,
that.
that might be the most expensive one because people want you to have those redneck blinds and I, dude, I can't understand how all this stuff has cost. Like the price on things has gone way up, but the quality of
Right.
material has went down.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense. David, I have not done snow goose hunting. I would like to, mainly because I see them dudes laying down in those like sleeping bags, and that sounds like the perfect hunting experience for me, and I am all about that. Um, yeah, that
I ain't
snow
never
goose
been.
hunting, that sounds like my type of hunting. Get in that little bag, curl up, they fly over, cool. If not, I'm taking a nap. Or is that geese? I don't know
Amen
the
to
difference.
that.
I, look, guys, we might be outdoors within this
Well,
age,
goose
but
and
me and
geese, they're the
Anthony,
same.
no experts. We're not experts. We're amateur before amateur.
We're far from experts. But speaking of which,
I'm really
our
bad at
last
it.
two podcasts is, speaking of which, our last two podcasts have netted us over 3,000 views, uh, which is incredible. I'm super
That's not
excited
bad
about it. Hoping this one will
for
hit
how
that many
bad
too.
me and you are at this.
No,
No,
I don't reckon. But, you know, what I
no, but
think
you're so
we should
ugly.
really hit on is that we're looking for my wife begs to differ.
Oh, no.
So, anyways, we're looking for a primary sponsor for 2022, man.
Yeah, and tell them what the
We need
primary
one.
sponsorship comes with, and why it would benefit them to become a primary sponsor of us.
So, our primary sponsorship is going to cover our Outdoors with MSA podcast. Uh, but our biggest focus is going to be on our 2022 Turkey Slam. So your
Right, but
logo
when
will
you say
actually replace this
when,
logo right here and be on the front of the shirt.
but when you say cover the podcast, you mean be the main sponsor, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
We'll still thank our other sponsors, but we'll really push that other sponsor. And
Yeah.
so, what we're going to do with it, the money that we get from the primary sponsorship, is we're going to purchase 4 cameras
Dude,
and hand them out to the chapters so we can start creating video content of the vet stories, man.
I'm gonna kill this cat. She's over here trying to mess with the power buttons, and it got me freaking out.
Well, dang it.
Um, yeah. The primary sponsorship would be
But
huge. It
like I
would
said,
allow us to get so many more vets out. On top of the other things we do.
well, we could show more than just podcasts. We could show the trips and the stories of the vets and first responders on a weekly, monthly basis. And that primary sponsor would be the one that we would air on those hunting and fishing shows or camping trips, stuff like that.
Yeah, eventually what we'd like to do. Have our Thursdays for our long hour long with our guests, and then throughout the week we want to be able to pump out these little like 10, 15-minute videos for you guys because I've gotten plenty of messages about, hey man, I'm bored. You guys got anything coming out this week? And so we're going to try to get something
Right?
that's a little shorter because I know watching these hour long things, man, it's hard. Like if you're not completely
It is
invested
hard.
in all the things we talked about, who's got the time? And we do it at
Mm-hmm.
11 o'clock on a Thursday. People are at work. We get that. We get it. So if you're not what's the word I'm looking for? An avid watcher or a dedicated watcher, we get it. Just when you get home that night, watch it. Watch it.
Yeah. So, what kind of
Um,
coffee you drinking, man?
Whatever the wife made.
Ah,
It comes out of the
you
Keurig. Um, the, I like the
black or
Keurig
with
because it's
cream?
quick. It's got a little bit of milk and like 1 scoop of sugar. It's not coffee flavored sugar
Mm-hmm.
water, but it's got a
Right.
little softener in it. Uh, I like the Keurigs, man, because I can make like my 1 cup and go. But like when I'm sitting
Yeah.
here at the house, it's hard to like drink 3 or 4 cups. I'm like, I gotta use another one of these little Keurig things. That's like $5 a damn pop almost. Not really.
I drink
Hmm.
3 cups a day, man.
Yeah.
I had a Keurig and I ruined it. I put milk in it trying to make hot chocolate. Did not work. Ruined it. I thought you could.
No.
I had a hot cocoa pack. I didn't
Yeah,
know, man.
you just use water. My guy.
That's
Instructions.
gross. Who likes hot chocolate
People.
with water?
Reading saves lives. If you haven't picked up a book in a while and read the back cover and put it back down, I suggest you do so.
Yeah.
Man, but yeah, I don't know, man. I like my coffee. My family is like a huge Starbucks family. Like when we were moving from South Carolina to Alaska, the trip was entirely dictated on what stops had a Starbucks.
Really?
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't fly to Alaska. That
Well,
would have just been easy.
this was right after I got out of high school, uh, and my stepdad, who was in the army, was PCSing to Wainwright in Alaska.
Oh,
Yeah, Wainwright. So
yeah.
the allotment for driving, it actually ended up paying instead of costing them to drive up there. So let's see,
Well, good.
it was a long trip. It was a good trip though. It was cool. Got to see a lot of the country, uh,
Oh,
some
yeah.
places that I'm just not thrilled about. I figured out that I like trees and I like hills, or at least trees, ocean. I don't like the plains. For all you people out there in the plains,
Really.
dude, it's endless nothing.
See, I love South Dakota,
Nothing.
man. I love South Dakota. I love Wyoming. I love Idaho. Uh, I love Kansas. I would give anything to go back to Kansas. Uh, you know, each their own, I guess. Wyoming, I would if I could live anywhere in the country outside of Tennessee, there'd be two states I'd move to: Wyoming or South Carolina, for
South
sure.
Carolina. Why South Carolina?
Man, I love the Spanish moss on the oak trees. They got
Okay.
massive diversity and habitat from swamps, mountains, hardwoods, pine plantations. I can get to the ocean fairly quickly to do some saltwater fishing. I can hunt hogs, decent turkey
Yeah.
population, tons of deer. I mean, they have probably one of the highest deer densities in the country, like
I
60
I
something
do
deer per
like South
square
Carolina's
mile.
hunting season. It starts at like the end of August and goes to
Hmm.
January 1st, but it's rifle the whole
Yeah,
time. There is no bow season,
yeah.
black powder. It's rifle. You go, you do you all year. That
And
would
which
be
is awesome,
huge.
I mean, who doesn't who doesn't want an opportunity to shoot a velvet buck with a rifle? That'd
Right.
be a great opportunity. I just love South Carolina, and I love Wyoming. Up especially up around the Black Hills. I mean, once you get past the Black Hills, you get into the sagebrush and all that stuff, and then up into the Rockies. Again, wide diversity of habitat, great animals, mule deer, whitetail, antelope, black bear. Uh, there's moose there. There's goats there. There's elk. There's just so much stuff that you could hunt there. Pheasant, quail,
I think mine would be Nebraska
grouse.
or Colorado.
Nebraska?
I like
Yeah.
Colorado. Kind of for the same reasons.
I've been to
I like to.
I've been to Colorado. I wasn't a fan of the state, but beautiful state. Beautiful state. Just wasn't a fan of the people. Can never fly Frontier.
Yeah, I mean, if we're
Flew
talking about the
Frontier.
people,
That sucked.
I'm a huge fan of Oregon. Oregon as a state, beautiful. The people,
Yeah.
weird. I mean, their motto is "Keep it weird." Uh,
Right.
I I actually almost got in a fight with one of the cashiers at their like I think it was like a Fred Meyer's or something. It's kind of like their Walmart. It's got to be fancier. Um,
Really.
but me and the wife went up there to go see my mom and uh, dad because he was doing the ROTC thing at Oregon State. So we go up there and we're checking out, and the guy's like, "How's your day?" I was like, "It's fine, I guess." How was yours? And the dude just kept going about my day, and I was like, "Dude, we have a problem. Like, what are you trying to get at? Like Southern hospitality. I'm used to people asking, but this dude was just like he was too much into my day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I was having a bad day, but about about fought a
I just
beggar
found
at
it cool
Fred
that
Meyer's.
I just found it cool that they pump your gas for you there. That's the only
Yeah,
self-service or non-self-service state that I know of.
yeah,
Like you're not.
yeah.
Well, I found that so incredible.
They still do the gas thing there. That's I don't know, man. Like, yeah, it's cool. Oh shit, Jesus, I messed up.
Hey, well, while you messed up, we need to take time to thank our sponsors. Uh, so we'd like to thank Appalachian Custom Calls. You can go to their Facebook page. They make the best turkey calls in the country. Super affordable, vet-owned company. You'll
Clicking
absolutely love
wrong.
them. They make pot calls, diaphragms. That looks good. That's Appalachian Custom Calls, man. Also like to thank Camo Dust. He's the one that we had on last week. The stuff really works. We had a doe and a fawn 30 yards downwind of us last back there in velvet season. They didn't even know we were there, and the wind was blowing. Thermals were right down in her nose, and she didn't pay any attention to me. So, and it was 80 something plus degrees. I was hot. Stuff works. I also like to thank Old Indian Tricks LLC, because it's Rookham and Cooter Juice. Best mock scrape synthetic scent out there. So if you're in a state that doesn't allow natural urine base, because it's Rookham juice is who to use. It's fully synthetic. Even if you do use natural, the Rookham juice and the Cooter juice is designed to stay longer and not break down like natural urine is. And so VIP Broadheads, veteran-owned company out of Texas. Super great guy. He's got some incredible products coming out. Uh, Great broadheads for right now. The 2 blade and the 4 blade. It's coming out with a 3 blade at the ATA show in January in Kentucky. Hopefully, me and John will be there, and we can start interviewing some of these bigger people.
And didn't we pick them up? Or anyway, I'll give them a shout out. The Reason
So,
they were on a few weeks ago. The Reason. There was a comment while you were talking about that. Dan, you want to talk about brick mailboxes, my guy? It was with the house when I bought it. I'm not fancy. I'm not bougie. Live in a neighborhood. They have brick mailboxes. Stop. Dude, you don't understand.
and
It's been this long running thing with them ever since these guys came to my house. They were like, "Oh, John's got a brick mailbox. This dude's loaded." Nah,
right.
hell not. So
If he's loaded, you have a boat.
you gonna keep
So,
bringing up the boat? You gonna keep bringing up the boat?
I told
That
you I'd
boat's
go
gonna
in
cause me
with
to
you
go.
on it.
Yeah, but when you say that, you mean get in the boat with me.
Probably, but I'd
Yeah.
throw money in, man. You know, before we bring in our special guest today, who I'm pretty excited to have come in, uh,
Yeah.
just want to remind everybody if you're a vet, first responder, active duty, come to our Facebook group, Military Sportsmen of America, or come check out our Facebook page, Military Sportsmen of America. Can't miss it. Logo looks just like that. We're all the time doing giveaways on hunts, not just hunts, not just fishing trips.
Over there.
We do
Oh.
concerts, sporting events. We give away
Yeah, we
gear
sent people to the
from our
Braves
primary
game, the
sponsors.
Diamondback game.
Or from our sponsors.
Um,
Do what?
Speaking of which, if you go to the website down below, it has new shirts and hoodies, right? You've been posting the hoodies a lot.
Yeah, we got new gear. We got hoodies out now. We got coffee mugs. I've got me a mug ordered and a hoodie ordered. So it's getting cooler, man. They're trying to find the orange hunter safety orange hoodie for us. It's super hard right now trying to find just stuff. Period, because of all the shipping delays. It's hard to find the products that you need just to make stuff. Our hat vendor, super great veteran out of Texas. He can't sell hats anymore because he can't find any, man. So hopefully these borders and stuff will open up soon, and these companies can really start getting feet back on the ground and running, man.
Yeah, yeah. You want to send him a message and
You
see?
there?
Yeah, I'm here. You want to send him a message and see where he's at?
Yeah, I can send them a message.
Oh, that would be why. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. I'll have to do it from my phone. Oh, and you're gone. Um, well, while we're both trying to do this, you can watch this.
Welcome to another podcast
of Outdoors with MSA.
hosted by Anthony Jones.
John Abernathy.
Where veterans become sportsmen.
Through hunting,
Fishing.
Hiking.
Brotherhood.
fellowship.
We are MSA.
I don't know what happened there, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
He probably didn't get it because my thing messed up. So give me a second. Talk about something.
Yeah, so me and John next week or this weekend, we're gonna go to some public land. We're gonna do a video on it. We're gonna go in depth on as far as where we're putting mock scrapes, cameras, and why we're gonna do it in these select areas. This is a hunt where we're going. We plan on deer hunting it, but this is where we're gonna do our deer camp for this fall. So we're hoping that through the videos you can see one what we're looking for as far as where we're putting our mock scrapes. Why are we scouting this specific area? What does it look like for us on the map as well as down on the ground in person? And then we also are going to go check out another part of our lease. Since we're not really seeing much on our lease where we're at, we're going to go to a different part, try to get it there. So our special guest today.
Go ahead, bud. Sorry.
Yeah, our special guest today is Third Day Coffee Sagoon out of Sagoon, Texas. Jose Roberto Alanes Jr., I believe. Super great guy. Super good coffee. Vets, we love our coffee. First responders, love their coffee.
I don't know how you get through a shift or a watch without it. Like there was a time in Afghanistan we were taking the coffee grounds and just throwing them in our lips. Like,
yeah.
Anything you can do to stay awake. All right.
I've been there before, man.
Here he is.
Awesome. There he is. There's the man of the hour.
No, not that format.
Am I late? Are we
No,
on
you're fine, Mr.
I'm late sending the invite. It was me. So I tried to copy it over to my computer. I messed it up. It's on me. That's my bad.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm super happy to have you on here, man. You got such a great mission and a great brand of coffee, and I can't wait for you to tell everybody about it.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, so I own and operate Third Day Coffee Seguin. We're a small batch specialty coffee company. I want to say like probably 90% of the coffee that we consume in the United States is general coffee, or what people like to call premium coffee. Our coffee is specialty coffee. Coffee is scored from 0 to 100. And everything above 80 is specialty. Our coffee starts out at an 84.5 and goes up to 87. Awesome. And we kind of got into the business, man, because of a God thing. I mean, it was had very little to do with me, but everything to do with him.
Yeah, some of the best businesses are started that way, right? Yeah. Not everybody wakes up one day and is like, I'm going to do this. It just comes to you in that higher power sense. You just wake up one day and you're like, I need to do more. Kind of like what we do with this. Like, I didn't wake up one day and I was like, I want to help vets. No, it started with me like, dude, I need something in my life. I'm missing something. And got led to this.
Yeah, I worked for as a DoD contractor for 10 years before I got decided to, well, I didn't decide anything. It was kind of laid out for me to leave that job, but it was hard to leave that job, man. That job paid a lot of money. And so, but like any other military environment, at some point, as a new Christian, because I surrendered my life in 2016, and so um, it was really hard. It's hard. It's the temptation, I guess, is there to fall into the easy. Just like when you're a bunch of guys out in the field, or if you're Navy, a bunch of guys out on a ship, and you're out to sea or whatever. And so it's really easy to get tempted to get back into your old ways and get into the language and the lack of morality and whatnot. And so we were praying for a way to get out of there. And I was already doing coffee. We had, I grew up drinking like most other people do, percolator coffee. And then at some point, my dad upgraded to a Mr. Coffee. And then, in the Navy, the coffee was sludge. I mean, if you
it never cleaned it,
terrible.
never cleaned anything. And I made the mistake one time. I grabbed my sergeant's coffee cup and I thought I was going to do a cool thing, and I washed it. He was, there are not words for how mad he was. He said I took all the flavor out of his coffee cup. He was like, you have to drink coffee in this thing until it gets the same filth back up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was doing gas station coffee for the longest time, and the coffee in the Navy was so bad you could pour it on your boots and polish them if you didn't want to drink it. I mean, it was just nasty. And so, in 2014, my grandson was born in New Zealand, and that's a story in itself. But if you have young daughters, do not let them have the internet until they're 40. That's the moral of that story. I guess we lost.
He was having connection problems earlier. He'll pop back in here in a second.
So we went to go visit my grandson, to go meet my grandson, visit my daughter and my son-in-law, and I was disappointed with they were drinking instant, and I had read all this stuff about how the coffee was so much better in Europe. I was very disappointed. And so, because we were so close to Australia and it was so cheap to get there, we decided that one weekend we were going to go to Australia because it was on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And so we did. And we were walking down to the opera house where everybody takes the iconic pictures, the clamshell opera house.
Yeah.
And on our way down there was this guy that had this little box made out of plywood. And he was opening up and he sold coffee. And I'm like, well, man, this can't be any worse than gas station coffee, right? Or my Navy coffee. So I ordered a cup of coffee and I started to walk away, and I stopped, and my wife like, what's wrong? I said, this is arguably the best cup of coffee that I've ever had in my life.
So that's kind of like certain restaurants, right? The hole in the wall restaurant that everybody overlooks has always got the best food.
It's exactly how it was. And I mean, this guy literally put a bunch of plywood together with hinges. I mean, it was just it was a train wreck. And but man, he served incredible coffee. And so I had to ask him, I'm like, man, what do you do? Because this is ridiculous. And he's like, man, there's 9 roasters in Sydney, and they all roast on Wednesdays, and I buy my coffee on Thursdays. I only buy enough for 1 week, and I don't grind it until you buy it. And so I thought, well, that's crazy. Never heard of that. And so we went back to New Zealand. What's that?
Does that make a difference if you grind it before they brew it? Like that soon versus grinding it beforehand?
Yeah. So as soon as you grind coffee, man, it starts to lose its zip. And The longer you leave
Oh,
it in the bag, the longer it stays in the shelf. I don't care if they vacuum seal it and all that. All that does is prolong the inevitable. And so there's a moisture content in a coffee bean.
mhm.
Uh, Most companies in the United States, and I'm not going to name any of those big conglomerates, but most companies in the United States over roast their coffee, and then they end up putting stuff in it to make it taste like coffee because they buy really cheap coffee. And so our coffee, especially, like I said, starts out at 80 and goes up. So we buy a higher quality coffee to begin with. And then I don't over roast it. I refuse to, people say, well, I want oil pouring out of my, I said, I'll get it to where the oil starts to come out of the coffee, but that's where I stop because anything past that and you're basically burning the coffee. And
Is
so
that where the bitterness taste comes from?
that's where part of the bitterness comes from.
Okay.
The poor quality of coffee is also where bitterness comes from. And so
Okay.
Really?
this is
Okay.
beyond popular belief, right? Most people in this country think that the darker the coffee, the stronger. Actually,
See,
the darker you roast, what's that?
I thought the more bitter it was, the stronger it was. That's why when I was overseas, I was like trying to drink the worst I could get, I guess.
No, actually, the darker you roast coffee, the less caffeine it has, but the less acidity it has. So if you get a really high acid coffee and they roast it light or medium, it's going to have more acid. It'll have that bitter taste, but the bitter really is the quality and the variety of the coffee. Like most of the coffee that we consume in the United States is Arabica beans. That's a variety. There's only two varieties. There may be more, but the main two are Arabica and Robusta. Robusta has twice the amount of caffeine, but it's bitter. So you have to be real careful how you roast Robusta because it'll come out bitter. And so a lot of people use Robusta to make espresso, but they have to roast it really dark, which again, you know, if they roast it too far, then it's just burnt coffee. And
What was
so
the
a lot
other
of
one you
times
had said?
Arab-
Arabia? Uh,
Arabica beans is what we
Arabica.
Arabic.
mostly, yeah.
I I for the longest time just thought it said Arabic. I'm glad I know how to say it now.
Now, Arabica beans. Those are the ones grew in South America, Central America.
Mostly, yeah. I think Guatemala is the only country down in Central America, mostly that does a large production of Robusta, and then the other country that does a large portion of your Robusta is going to be in Africa.
Okay.
And so the problem with the African stuff is like unless you have somebody in the ground, you don't really know. Uh, you can't really keep tabs on the supply chain. And our coffee comes from most of our coffee comes from a single farm in Honduras. I know exactly where it's coming from, what piece of land. I've been down there. I've met the men who plant the coffee and harvest the coffee. And so I know exactly, how where it goes from crop to the cup that I pour it in or that you buy my coffee and you pour it in. And
Now, you
so
even helped planted. You even planted some of the trees this past spring, didn't you?
yeah, I got to go down there in May, and it was a true blessing because we didn't have the money really. I left my job in February, and my supplier he's my mentor. He's he's a brother in Christ. He's just a really awesome dude. Ashley Williams from Legacy Farms Coffee, and he kept telling me and my wife that we were going down in May, and I'm like, brother, listen, I love you. I want to go down there in May. I really do, but I'm leaving my job. It's like 12K a month. I said in February, so I'm not going to have money in May to do anything. And we were still building the business up, but God had put so many things in place that I really couldn't. I had already tried to leave a year before, and my company said, "Listen, why don't you just you don't have to work shift anymore and you can just do part-time and that way you can get your business off the ground and still have money." And I'm like, this is a really smart business decision. So I stayed 1 year and then I left this past February 2021. And so I told Ashley, I said, dude, there's no way. I mean, I've got money and budget and all that, but I didn't budget it, a trip to Honduras, man. And anyway, he kept telling us that we were going to go. Eventually, my wife, who is very skeptical of she's not a risk taker at all, and she started telling everybody that we were going to Honduras. And man, I'm like, hey, I said, we really don't have the cash for that. I didn't budget $1,000 trip in. And so anyway, we the VA had messed up with some stuff on my disability, and I got a check with some back pay for like $6,000.
God, I miss the back
Oh, wow.
paychecks.
I
I miss
love
the
that.
back paychecks. I got one once for like 27,000. I don't know
Yeah.
where it went. It's gone. I don't have it anymore.
Yeah. So we
Nothing to show for it.
needless to say, God made a way, and we ended up in Honduras. And we were able to. We took a set amount of money with us that we knew we were going to leave there, because we were already supporting Ashley's nonprofit, because it's Christ centered. They're building a church down there, and so we gave a down payment to Ashley at the time when he needed a down payment for the actual church property, and we've been helping him, since then. Because it's just such a great mission. It's what God's led us to, and we feel strongly about it, and we've prayed about it, and we've been convicted about it. And so we went down there, and we had enough money. So the way it works, like Ashley has this farm, and he has 32 employees from the mountains that live locally, and so
Awesome.
3 of those employees have showed an interest in wanting to grow coffee. And so Ashley said, if you want to grow coffee, I will not only help you plant your property, let you use all our equipment, let you use all the harvesting equipment, and then I'll put your bags on my shipping containers to go to the States. Because what happens is down in Honduras, or these South American countries, 150 pounds of coffee, which is, I call it a bag. It's 150 pounds of coffee. Well, the big companies, all the big conglomerates, all the big names that you know of in the United States, they go down there and they pay the locals $20 for 150 pounds of coffee, because they're so poor and destitute, they have no way of getting coffee out of the country. Well, Ashley helps these employees of his get their coffee on his containers to get here, because here in the States, that same 150 pounds of coffee goes for $750. Now, to get that in perspective, why is that such a huge difference? Well, the average family in Honduras of 5, their annual income is about $1,400. So a little micro farm to one family that can produce 2 bags of coffee a year, they just doubled their yearly income with just 2 bags of coffee. And so there's 3 of his employees that have showed the interest and are putting the work in. One of them is the guy that we made a deal with, Jose Santos. And so his farm's called Finca Santos. And we planted coffee on the side of his. He Ashley lent him money through a loan program they have with their farm down there. And he was able to buy this little piece of land. And it's a micro farm. And so we were able to pay for the plants to plant it this past year. And that's 400 plants. And so I got to go down there, and I, risked death to fall off the mountain to get to where they were at. But the experience of standing on the side of that mountain, if I'd have known that 15 feet behind me was a 2,000-foot drop, I may not have gone down there, just saying. But yeah, if you go to our Facebook page, you can see the picture where I'm kneeling down and I'm planting this coffee plant. And there's pictures of Ashley and Santos on the mountain, where he's showing him something with the plant. And then there's another picture of Santos and his 2 boys at their the little mud hut that they live in on the side of the mountain. And anyway, God led us to all that, man. It had nothing to do with us. And I'm a firm believer that everything we have, every dollar that's in the bank account, every blade of grass that's on our property, none of it's ours, man. It all belongs to God. And so I'm going to do with it what he leads me to do with it. And what he's leading us to do is to help these people out. And coffee is just a vehicle, man. Coffee, Granted, our coffee's better than most, but
Right, and that's where I was
Oh, I love it.
gonna try to go next. Is now that we know how you get it, what makes
yeah.
your coffee something these people watching need to drink?
So the first thing, again, like I said, we start out with specialty coffee. Our coffee is in the mid 80s, mid to upper 80s, and so we start off with a high quality coffee bean. From there, we roast it on the commercial roaster that you see in the background. And the way we started roasting coffee is when I got back from New Zealand and Australia the first time. Uh, I wasn't happy with coffee anywhere. Like gas station coffee wasn't cutting it, and that machine that we had that everybody used has little pods. I can't say it because they'll sue me, but their little the little pod machine that everybody has in their house, that wasn't cutting it. And uh, the horrible place and that's on every street corner in the world now, their coffee was just atrocious. And so I started trying to find my own way of making coffee. Through that process, I was grilling steaks one day out back. Down here in South Texas, we just go out back, grab a branch of mesquite, and we cook everything with mesquite. And so I thought, man, this ought to be interesting. I ought to try to roast some coffee over mesquite. And so that's kind of how we got started. We graduated to a big smoker pit that I built years ago that we converted. And then we bought that machine back there. And it's made in Oklahoma City with all American made parts, even the electronic. I mean, obviously not all the electronics are from here, but the companies are American based, and for the electronics, all the motors and everything are American companies. And they hand build them in Oklahoma City at U.S. Roasters Corp. And so they built it with a firebox on the side. It's a small box, but it fits a small little chunk of wood. And so we still use mesquite with it. And I'm not a chemist or a botanist or anything else, but I will tell you that something about using the mesquite that makes our coffee extremely smooth. And so we've been doing it ever since.
So when people order coffee from you, does it come in like the bag that you put in the normal coffee maker? Like how does your coffee come?
Yeah. So there's people who are coffee aficionados and they have all their own setup and they got their own grinders and all that stuff. And for them, on our website, you can select whole bean, which is the best way to get any coffee. And so I can ship you whole bean, or if you have one of those machines with the little pods, I can grind it for that. If you're an espresso kind of guy, I can grind it for that. I've even had a call for Turkish coffee. If anybody knows what Turkish coffee is, the coffee is ground like a fine powder, and they don't use any filter. They just throw it in the cup with the water, and they put spices in it. And I actually love Turkish coffee, but it's a process. Yeah, it's amazing. If you can find a Middle Eastern restaurant anywhere where you guys are at, a lot of times they'll serve Turkish coffee, and it's
So
pretty
make sure
rad.
it's ground right, because other than that, it tastes like you're drinking sandpaper.
Right. And
I
so
had
some people,
that was very thick.
it depends on what machine you use. So if you use a French press, it's got to be very coarse, so it doesn't get through the screen, so your coffee is not full of grounds. And if you're using an automatic drip like a Mr. Coffee with filters, well, you still want the particles a little smaller because you get more out of it, but you don't want them so small that they'll go through the filter, because those filters are not like, they go down to about 3 microns, I think, which is just what they're at. But just depends on what kind of machine you're using. So we grind our coffee. You can see the 3 machines right there. Those are the 3 grinders that we use. And I can grind it anywhere from a little rock of a chunk, like a little pebble, all the way down to powder. And so it just depends on what your machine is. And that's how we grind it.
And what I like about your company, not only the best done, but you personalize every order. Like when I ordered my first bag, it was like, here you go, Devil Dog. I mean, you just made it so personal, and it's awesome to have. It's not like going out to a major retailer and buying some and just
So this is a bag that's going out to a buddy of mine who's an Army vet. I don't know you can see
That
the
is
Army.
the Army
logo.
stamp. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's an Army stamp. And then this one here has got his name on the back of it too. Roasted for him for Nathan Webb. He's a buddy of mine. And I have all the branches except for the Space Force. I'm not doing any Space Force stuff until they go into space. Then I might get a stamp for them. But until then, it's just all talk.
I'd be a
But,
spaceship door gunner in a heartbeat.
You know why they won't let Marines be in the Space Force, right?
Yeah. I did.
They won't let Marines or Army be in the Space Force because if we were ever the ones to make first contact, our first question would be, can we sleep with it? And can we kill it?
Yeah. Can we get them drunk?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a good one.
I didn't think about that one.
Liquor the aliens up and then line them up. And yeah. So that's probably a reason why. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we just try to personalize every bag. My dad, I remember my dad used to do this all the time. And it was just because, I grew up poor. My mom and dad both grew up. Well, my mother didn't grow up poor. She was kind of the rich kid in her little town. But my grandfather on my mom's side was an immigrant. He was an illegal alien that got his citizenship, couldn't read or write a word of English or Spanish, but was a business genius. He made millions of dollars in his lifetime. But he was a gambler. So my mother would have a house one week, and then the next week they'd have to move out of the house because he gambled it away. And then 2 weeks later, he'd win the house back, and they'd move back in. And they were the first house that had plumbing and all kinds of stuff. She grew up kind of, not really. I mean, except for the weird stuff that went on with the gambling, but she grew up pretty well off. My dad was a poor farm boy. They farmed for every penny that they got. They were like sharecroppers. They lived in a little 4-room square building that the ranchers and farmers gave them. And so we grew up with that scarcity mindset, man. Even I did until later on, and my dad always told me he was so tight about money. We'd go somewhere, and my dad's the only person I ever knew that could cuss worse than a sailor. Like, he could do a whole paragraph and use like 3 words that were not profanity, and the rest of it was all profanity. And so we'd go somewhere and buy something, and he'd be ticked off. He says, people don't give an F about you. All they give a crap about is, getting your, GD money out of you. And so he was always mad about that. And so that always stuck in my head. And I always told myself, this first time I decided I was going to do a business, I said, my dad was already gone. And I said, there's the one thing that I will not do is have somebody like my dad buy something from me and turn around and say, well, that's sorry. What, all he gave a crap about was getting my money. And so that's kind of where that all came from. I never wanted for my product to go to somebody. And like a guy at work, his name's Thomas Myback, and awesome guy, brother in Christ, Army veteran. He was one of the first people that went through the modern combat medic program at Fort Sam. And he gave me these pennies one day. He started seeing what I was doing with the coffee. He's like, hey, man, just want to give you a little gift. You could add it with your coffee when you send it out. And it's a little tag, and it says one to bless you and one to bless another. And it's 2 pennies with a cross notched out of them. And so I call that the My Back Ministry. And we send a little tag with those 2 pennies with all our orders. And I had somebody tell me that, because I've had a lot of people that told me that my business model is not going to work because I put God so far out in front of my company. And so I had a guy, he was from California, super nice guy. He bought like $80 worth of coffee from me, and he buys coffee from me on a regular basis. But when I deliver it to him, he says, I love your coffee. He says, but this whole God thing, it's going to alienate people. And I'm like, listen, I said, that's one thing I won't argue with you. If you don't want to buy my coffee because it's, I said, I'm not throwing Bibles at anybody.
Yeah.
You know, he goes,
That's like when
well,
somebody's sneezing and saying God bless you, and then they get mad. It's like, just
yeah,
take it, and if you don't like it, keep going about your day. You don't
yeah.
have to get mad about every just because I say bless you or anything like that. You
Well, he told
people
me,
get stuff.
he said, he goes, you may not be throwing Bibles at people, but it's like passive aggressive. And I go, how do you figure that? He said, because all your bags are named after scripture. Your logo has a coffee cup with a cross in the middle of it. It's got scripture in your logo. It says, best coffee this side of heaven. And it says rise with us. And so
I like that.
it's almost like you're past, you're throwing it. And you're right. I mean, you're not throwing a Bible at me. You're not asking me to go to church, but you got church written all over your stuff. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, that's who I am. I said, our mission, our first priority is to share the gospel. Our second priority is to help our brothers and sisters in arms first, and then our community in general in a Christ-like fashion. And the coffee is just a vehicle for us to get there.
Yeah.
And so, I don't really care if somebody gets offended or they get their feelings hurt. Don't buy coffee from me. There's a lot of other coffee companies out there that use the F word with everything they do, all their videos, F this, F that. You can find it. You can go get it.
Yeah.
So
How dare you try to help somebody?
right?
How dare
Yeah,
you?
I
You're a
mean,
horrible person.
I'm telling you. That's what my shirt says. Holy enough to pray for you, hood enough to swing on you.
That's awesome. I was wondering what that shirt said. I was trying to read it. That's good,
Yeah.
And
man.
for everybody watching, we did not organize everybody wearing blue. That's what happened.
No,
I've been
it
looking
just
at that this whole time. Like he wore blue, he wore blue. Man, I had a green shirt on earlier, but I can't wear green because of the green screen behind me.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we've just been really blessed, man, to be where we're at. We've got this great podcast called God Country Coffee that we do every Fridays at 1900. And I've never forced that. I've done some ads in the veteran group, for people that want to be on.
Mhm.
And I tell people flat out, is there anything you don't want me to talk about, whatever. But more often than not, we have people that get on and just in the course, and I don't ask them what their belief is because, I it's kind of my job and it's not, right? Like I believe we're supposed to plant seeds. I mean, that's what the Great Commission is in Matthew, um, where Jesus tells us, go about and make disciples. And so my job is to plant seeds, but for my podcast, I don't ask anybody specifically, hey, listen, if you don't want me to ask you any questions about your beliefs or your religion, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't generally do that. I basically ask, we talk about how you grew up, what led you to join the service, if they're veterans, or what led you into your career field, and then if they're veterans, what would that transition look like, But it's just we've been so blessed that in the course of the interviews, somehow God always like has a message for somebody, and it just pours out. Like I had a lady that said, "Listen, I'm a Christian. Just don't ask me because I don't know how to talk about it." And then she got on the show and she told us this incredible story about how God moved on her when they lost the heartbeat of her unborn child, and how she heard the doctor say, "Listen, everything's going to be fine. Just relax." And then it turned out there were no women in the room at all. The doctor was a female even. And so she said, at that moment, I knew that it was God talking to me, and everything was fine. They delivered the baby, and she was fine, and she's healthy, and so, even people that don't think they have a way of expressing their faith, she had an incredible story, and I'm like, oh my God, all you have to do is tell this little story about what God did in your life, and that's what people need to hear. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do with the coffee. Just trying to tell the story of what God's done with us.
All right, so
One
we've
sip
hit
at
our
a time,
hour,
man.
and I mean, thank you so much for coming on, man. You're a great guest, and I really hope to have you on again. I want to remind everybody who's watching to go and join our group on Facebook. Go join and drink Third Day Coffee. I mean, what do you have to lose? You get a bad cup, and I doubt you're getting a bad cup. Like,
Yeah, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But
yeah.
you know, we've had pretty good success, man, with handing out samples and people buying coffee. So
Yeah, like I said, man, I really appreciate you coming on. And
Did you tell them where to buy your coffee at?
no, oh yes, tell everybody where they can go get your coffee,
Yeah.
your website.
okay, let me. I'm gonna put it in the comments here. I think I can. Can I comment?
You should be able to. I think you have all the.
Well, you can go to your Facebook page, Third Day Coffee Sagoon. Amazing
Yeah,
coffee.
so it's just www.thirddaycoffeesagin.com, and that's SEGUIN. Let's see here.
Is that close? Oh well, that's not the website, but Third Day
Yeah,
Coffee Again.
I guess because y'all opened the room, it's not letting me comment. But
Yeah.
I can do it. Here's what I'll do. I'll send this to you, and then you can. Let's see.
Oh yes, yeah. My mom's watching, and she is a huge coffee. Like they buy the espresso machines, and you walk in, it looks like a little barista set up in their kitchen. I don't ever touch it because it looks way too expensive.
Well, Miss Alicia definitely needs to check out your coffee. She'll love it. I love it. I need to buy another bag.
I sent it to you in the private chat, and I guess you can grab it and.
I sure did, and there we go. Third Day Coffee Again. Go there, get you a bag, get you a cup, get you a coffee cup. Everybody needs more coffee cups, except for me.
I know it.
My wife's gonna make me throw some out soon. We actually all my plastic cups that I've gathered are gone. It's all coffee cups now.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. I look forward, and I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to. I need to go out there and do a turkey hunt with y'all, like with my bow. That's what needs to happen.
Oh, come on down, man.
That's what needs to happen. So
come on to Tennessee, buddy. It'll be a good time.
I was
telling you, I'm sure it would be.
We both got it. There you go.
So awesome, man. I really appreciate you guys.
Well, we appreciate you so much, man.
Anytime.
Well, take care, bud.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
No problem. All right, Anthony, before me and you hop off, we've got to run through the sponsors again and the raffle.
Absolutely.
So the first sponsor, Appalachian Custom Calls. For all your
best turkey calls in the U.S., man.
Deer grunt calls are coming out this year. Go check them out.
Forgot. Definitely. Grunt calls. Got another call in the works, too. Can't talk about it yet, though.
Cousins Rookham Juice. I'm telling you guys, this stuff, just get you a bottle. Just get it. I'm not even going to try to sell you on it. Get it. It'll sell itself. Yeah. It really will. Camo dust. There's a lot of apprehension about the dust and is it better than the spray? I've tried it. I like it more than the spray. I think it's a great thing. VIP broadheads. These broadheads are the only ones I'm ever going to get from now on. I love the way they're made. I love the way they function. Hands down, some of the best quality I've had my hands on since I've started bow hunting.
Yeah, great quality, dude. That own company.
Get your raffle tickets today. It ends tomorrow. We're drawing. You're out of luck. Go get your raffle ticket. Get Vets Outdoors. If you win and you don't want the gun, we'll send you a gift card. Go get the raffle ticket. All right.
Great show, man.
We hit it off.
I think we did all right.
And until next week,
good, man.
Unless we get some video to put up a 15-minute content during the week, we'll catch you guys next Thursday.
Next Thursday.